Okay guys, I don't really have an agenda too much like pinned out in my mind for this video. I just want to talk about this reading slump from hell that I've been in for like a month now. I read, basically I was on a roll for the readathon around 7, and I did a video and I talked about all of those books that I read, and I think I read 9 or 10 books. In the course of 7 calendar days, and then after that I just didn't read shit. What is it exactly that puts you in a reading slump? Is it reading like kind of overdoing it and reading a crap ton of books back to back to back and you just need a break? Or was it the fact that I didn't enjoy like any of those books except for 1 or 2? Or was it the fact that like the last one I read, I think, or one of the last ones I read was Flame in the Mist, and it disappointed me so bad on it, like epically, and that like physically hurt. You guys do not know how bad I was looking forward to this book. I pre-ordered it, and once I figured out it was going to be in one of my subscription boxes, I was stupid excited about that. I couldn't wait for it. I was just like attacking it as soon as the box got here. I've been waiting for that book since I read The Wrath and Dawn duology. I was just bated breath, and I read it, and it was just basically like at the end of the book I was still flipping the book, like flipping pages, like there's more, right? When is it gonna get good? So that I've not been that disappointed in a book, I don't think ever, because there wasn't a book that I was looking forward to as much that let me down as much. So it was like I was expecting here and I got here, and it's a big difference. Like if it was just a little bit like it was okay, it would have been fine, but I really hated that book. So that kind of sucked, and I think that might have been what spun me into it. So then I got an arc of Wired by Julie Garwood, and you can't see because they aren't on the shelves, but over here in my hush is where I keep all my paperbacks and my historical romance novels, and literally from like here to here is Julie Garwood books. I love her writing. I love her historical. She's my favorite historical romance author, and she writes contemporaries as well, and the contemporaries are a continuation of the stories that took place. Like, not a continuation, but they're basically stories about the descendants of the characters in her historical novels. So the contemporary ones have not been my favorite, just because I'm really not a contemporary romance reader anyway. And then if you're going to write stories about FBI characters and whatnot that have descended from, you know, sheriffs and lairds and lords, and it needs to be pretty freaking epic because they got big shoes to fill, bro. And if you supposedly have like this many centuries of crime stopping, solving, fighting, whatever in your blood and your history, then this ought to be a very damn good story. And I got Wired as an arc, and I was super excited for it, and was underwhelmed again. It was basically a repeat of all her books I've already read. There was nothing that I saw in them that was like either surprised me or hasn't happened like damn near verbatim in her other books. Like there was even a scenario that like the way they ended up expressing the love for each other, or just coming to the realization that they loved the other character, and then what they decided to do after, like whether or not they were going to say anything or hide it from the other character and kind of step back to protect themselves because they didn't need to be in a romance right now. It was like verbatim the same scenario from many of her other books, and I was just like, and it didn't even have the enjoyability of like the historical setting and the lairds and the fighting and like the just brusque virile manliness of the main character to make up for it. So that kind of sucked. And then after that I just hit a slump, and then I started writing, which was fun, and I kind of hammered out like 14 chapters of fan fiction because I had this idea that I wanted to get out, and it wasn't like the best idea. It was more so I wanted to practice on my writing style because I haven't written anything since 2011 when I used to carry notebooks with me everywhere. So I kind of started doing that again, and that contributed to my slump because I would pick up a book and be like, oh, but I really want to write. Or I'd pick up a book and be like, but that's stupid, and I don't like the way they did that, and the way I did this was a little different. And then I'm like, ah, shit, now I gotta write some more. And then I want to write again. So that contributed to the reading slump. And then what else was there? I just like had no desire to read anything that was super hyped up by people who had gotten an arc of it, or just super hyped up by booktube in general. and I was pretty much expecting the worst out of everything else. And like, even I had been really looking forward to this series by Stephen King, and it's the first Stephen King book I ever read, and even that was like, what in the hell, like what is happening? Like, all these books are getting super hyped up and they all suck. So I just kind of like hit something. I didn't want to pick anything else up. And don't get me wrong, I read every day still. I just started reading fan fiction instead, because fan fiction is fun to read, and you're not expecting, like, if you get like epicness, it's awesome because you really weren't expecting it. But I'm getting a published book that thousands of people are on Goodreads and BookTube and Amazon, and they're just hyping it all up, and then I get it, and it's like, I don't see how anybody was just like super excited to read this, because it was either just meh or it sucked flat out. So just like, I don't know how to get out of the slump. I reread The Wrath of the Dawn. It was a buddy read, and it was super fun. Like, I read it with Liene over at Liene's library, and I'm gonna link her channel down below. But even so, after that, like, I'm still just kind of like scared I'll get to something else, and either the ending will ruin it or the book will just stink. So I've picked up Red Rising, but she's in the process. I think she just read The Golden Sun, and then we're going to attempt to read Morning Star, which is the third book in the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. We're going to attempt to read the third one together, so I'm trying to read the first one, and then she just finished the second one, so I'm trying to catch up, which usually, they're not very big books. Like, this is Golden Sun, and that's how big it is. It's 430 some odd pages. I could fly through this in a day if I really wanted to, or like, I could read it over 2 shifts at work, because I work night shifts. Like, once it quiets down, I can kind of bust out a book to pass the time, and typically I could have, like, I should have been done with Red Rising by now, just frankly. Or if I have, like, today is my day off, I could have, like, have finished that one yesterday and been most way through this one. But I'm just kind of nervous I'll get to the end and just be like, it's supposed to be so good. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I super trust Liene's reviews, and they're always, like, pretty much on point with what I think about everything. But it's just, like, I'm also kind of thinking, too, that once the series is really good and I get past this, like, what else am I going to read? Because everything else I'm pretty much expecting it to suck. So I'm just, like, super bummed, and I don't like this reading slump. And I'm also kind of, like, low-key dragging out Red Rising, because it is a good book, and I don't want to go back to reading stuff that's disappointing me. So yeah, but I did pick up, like, a bunch of other books that she recommended to me that looked really good, because, like I said, I do really trust her reviews, and it's really cool, too, because if she reads something and she knows, like, it's enjoyable, but, like, as far as, like, the mechanics and technicality of it, it's not that good, she'll say it, and she'll be like, well, I liked it, like, it's problematic in that, like, this kind of sucked, and this was stupid, and this really wasn't fleshed out very well, explained very well, but I think, like, when we talked about a book she mentioned that was like that before, she called them, like, chili cheese fries. Like, there's, like, shit nutritional value to it, but you enjoy eating them. So that kind of is where I am with my reading at this point. But, like, I don't want chili cheese fries right now. I'm hungry and I'm malnourished, and I would like steak and potatoes, damn it. So yeah, Red Rising is that. I know it's that. Like, thus far, it is very epic, but it's also very fucking traumatizing. Like, not, like, literally it's not traumatizing you, but traumatizing the way you get attached to a character and then their head's, like, lopped off. They're gone soon. So I haven't gotten past 20. I flew through 25% of it. I read a quarter of the book in, like, 2 hours, so that lets me know I could finish the book hella quick. But I'm also probably going to need therapy after, so I'm stalling. So yeah, that's my rant about my reading slump. Some people read, like, I could read a historical romance novel to read, to get me out of my reading slump, but I kind of set forth a summer TBR, and I want to, like, stick to it. So I might read An Ember in the Ashes after I get through, like, the Red Rising. I'm going to kind of go through the 3 of the Red Rising, and then I want to maybe read An Ember in the Ashes, because I have that. I didn't haul it yet. I have to do a haul video, because fuck a book ban, you know, whatever. But yeah. So that is my rambling video about my book slump, and it kind of fucking sucks, because this has never happened before. I've never had a problem picking up just another book. But then again, maybe I did, and I never really called them reading slumps until booktube. Like, I would just start reading fan fiction if I was just tired of, like, actual books. So, but yeah, what works for you to get out of a reading slump. Like, usually I'll read something lighter, but after being disappointed so many times, I kind of don't want to read anything that's just like light and fluffy and like chili cheese bars. I want to read something epic like Strength to Dreamer or Daughter Smoking Bone, but I haven't picked up the sequel to that yet because that one's supposed to be traumatizing. Like, the second one's supposed to be a lot darker, and the mental space I'm in right now, it's just like maybe not a good thing because I'm really attached to those characters. And yeah, so what works for you? Comment down below and let me know, because this slump sucks ass. That is my ramble. Like I said, let me know what works for you, because Lauren is stuck. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.